Minnesotans are again answering the call for help in Canada, where wildfires continue to torch millions of acres of forest.
As you know, those fires have choked our air with smoke this summer. Canadian authorities reported 3 new fires today to the more than 700 that are already burning there right now. As Jonah Kaplan reports, the Minnesota crews have one major takeaway for people complaining about the smoke.
Canada can't do this alone. Just look at this one video from northern Manitoba, taken by veteran Minnesota DNR firefighter Joe Meyer.
Just to see the walls of fire that were 100 feet over the treetops and a mile long. It adds a whole new complexity when all you can do is access the stuff by air and supplies are so far away.
Meyer was part of the DNR's 3rd rotation this summer to travel north of the border. A 4th is headed there later this month.
When fires are so big like that, and when they're so far out of reach, what is the game plan? Where do you even start?
So there is a lot of communities up there, that mining communities and fishing communities, all kinds of little communities. And the number one priority, obviously, is public safety and firefighter safety. But our other objective up there was, to put protection on these towns.
Life is the irreplaceable commodity.
Right.
And so if there has to be fire and there has to be smoke, even billowing into Minnesota, if we save lives, then it's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
Minnesota is part of what's called the Great Lakes Forest Fire Compact, a resource-sharing agreement between Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, Manitoba, and Ontario.
Ontario did send a fire engine down with the crew in May and helped us out in Minnesota on initial attack wildfires. Some of those same people that went up to Manitoba 2 years ago were on those fires that we had in St. Louis County this spring.
So it's more than a two-way street. It's a collective battle for the future.
It's not Canada's fault. There's a lot of fire up.
Roofs ripped off buildings. Planes struggling to land. As powerful winds from Storm Floris set in. In parts of Scotland, the gusts reached over 100 miles per hour. An amber danger to life warning in place across most of the country, with fallen trees causing chaos across the transport network.
The high winds are having a huge impact on rail services today. Here at Glasgow Queen Street, for instance, only a handful of trains are still running, with most cancelled because of the severe weather. Several rail companies have also put do not travel warnings in place, with Avanti West Coast telling passengers not to even attempt travel north of Preston.
It's very unusual for us to have a summer storm. We normally get them in the autumn and the winter. It brings extra challenges because the trees still have lots of leaves and lots of branches on them, and that can cause problems for overhead wires and for the train tracks.
On an August bank holiday in Scotland, several tourist attractions have also been affected. The high winds shut both Edinburgh Zoo and Edinburgh Castle, while the Edinburgh Fringe Festival saw the closure of its iconic Pleasance Courtyard.
Had to cancel about 110 or so performances that were scheduled to take place today. But just to put that in context, that's 110 of about 2,100 performances. So fewer than 5% of shows have had to be cancelled. There's still plenty of things for people to see. The shows that had to be cancelled were predominantly the ones that were taking place in temporary structures, in tents, in Spiegel tents, outdoors. So we've obviously had to keep an eye on the safety of performers and audiences in that regard, and those are the ones that have cancelled.
Looking at the sky, I'm not that worried right now. But I don't know Scotland weather. In New Zealand, quite often something gets predicted and it doesn't actually happen.
So I'm doing a split bill in the Fringe, and my kind of other half in the show, she lives in Glasgow, so she couldn't make it over today, which is a bit of a shame really, because we got a really great review yesterday, and so yeah, it's a shame she couldn't make it.
The severe weather has also left tens of thousands of homes without power across Scotland, Northern Ireland and into parts of northeast England. With weather warnings staying in place late into the evening tonight, the effects of this unusual summer storm could last for days to come. Katie Barnford.
The 4th heatwave of the year in England, and much of the country is parched.
A good 20 mil of rainfall on these right now would be just what they need.
For farmers, it's an arid nightmare. Broadwood Hall Farm in Herefordshire grows organic vegetables, but the lettuce is half the size it should be. There just hasn't been enough rain and the irrigation pond is almost empty.
There's likely to be pressure on prices and just choice in supermarkets. There just might not be as much on shelves, and this will have a knock-on effect into the winter.
The National Drought Group has declared what it calls a nationally significant situation. 5 areas in England are in official drought, stretching from the northwest through Yorkshire and down to the Midlands. Most other areas are enduring prolonged dry weather. The first 6 months of 2025 have been the driest start to any year since 1976, and with the return of hot weather, the little moisture that remains in the soil will evaporate even faster. It is a challenge for farming and our water supplies. This is the Derwent Valley Reservoir in Derbyshire. The banks that should be submerged are gradually being exposed as water levels drop. Nationally, reservoirs are less than 68% full, well below the 81% that would be normal for the time of year. Yet only a matter of months ago, some areas were overwhelmed by rain. Britain just isn't ready for such weather extremes.
There is big plans to build new reservoirs, to increase supplies. The plans are in place, the investment's there. It's just really important that water companies get on and deliver, and we're there to make sure they do.
Farmers in many areas have already been told they can't suck up any more water from rivers to irrigate crops because levels are now so low and critical for wildlife.
It's a massive worry because there's so much money tied up in these crops, and to see them going in, pretty much planting into dust, worrying that we might not actually be able to get a crop from them is worrying, and it makes you consider whether it's worth doing it in the future, because we do have these big fluctuations in weather that we just don't know how to plan from year to year.
All they can do is hope for rain, and there's no sign of anywhere near enough in the forecast.
Tonight, smoke smothering skylines coast to coast as parts of more than a dozen states are facing another day of air quality alerts.
It's like a constant fog almost, and it's just like doesn't go away.
These hazy horizons are being fueled by wildfires raging in some cases hundreds of miles away.
There's a lot more in my throat.
You feel something's off?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Canada on track for its second worst wildfire season on record, while hundreds in Southern California have been evacuated as firefighters navigate steep, rugged terrain. Gusty winds and dry conditions are fanning the flames and fears among homeowners in Utah under a state of emergency.
It's just so hard not knowing what's happened up there.
Near San Antonio, authorities say a controlled burn grew out of control Tuesday, going on to scorch hundreds of acres and force evacuations. Meanwhile, the Carolinas hammered by back-to-back days of torrential rain. Authorities in Nash County just recovered 2 bodies after they say the pair was swept away by floodwaters inundating their car.
It was deep, it was over my head, and I never got to her.
And in a week of wild weather, the Southwest today suffering through blistering temps. Phoenix expected to reach a record 116 degrees, unbearable for those even familiar with the desert heat. Watch as first responders carry down this hiker from Camelback Mountain.
Heat does not care. It will affect everybody. And not only that, now you're exposing our first responders to this.
And with that, Emily Aketa joins us tonight live from a hazy Poughkeepsie, New York, which is under an air quality alert tonight. Emily, any signs of relief ahead?
Well, fortunately, Tom, the haze will start to dissipate as the wind shifts. Still, for some in the northeast, it marks the 5th day in a row of poor air quality. You can see the sun trying to break through there as wildfire smoke continues to stream in from our northern neighbors. Some lawmakers now calling on Canada to improve its wildfire prevention.
Out west, dozens of wildfires burning out of control. The Gifford Fire in Santa Barbara County has burned more than 60,000 acres, forcing emergency evacuations, even producing a smoke tornado. This ominous photo showing a scorched section of the Los Padres National Forest today. In Arizona, firefighters continue battling the Dragon Bravo fire near the north rim of the Grand Canyon. 1 month after the fire started, that blaze is now the largest in the continental U.S., burning more than 123,000 acres. Meanwhile, the smoke from hundreds of Canada wildfires triggering air quality alerts in more than a dozen states today, from the Great Lakes to New England.
I can't breathe. I'm dying, and I need to see blue sky.
Really just relentless smoke plaguing the skies. Thick haze visible in cities like Boston, even forcing a brief ground stop at Logan Airport earlier today. And in the South, people are sweating it out as excessive heat is gripping parts of Florida. In places like Miami, you have to stay under the shade even at the beach because there's a heat advisory in effect. So even though the temperatures are in the 90s, the feels like is about 109. That means even if you get in the water, it's still going to be hot. Describe to me what it feels like when this kind of heat hits you.
It feels like an oven. Like when you open the oven and it just all hits you at once in the face, that's exactly how it feels. You can't really be out in the sun for like more than like 20 minutes at a time.
And there's no sign of cooling off. Forecasters say heat records could be broken in the Southwest this week.
Right now, we are monitoring severe weather moving into the Midwest and South. A tornado outbreak expected today and tonight, prompting a rare high-risk designation, with historic flooding also likely on the way this week. And these threats following deadly storms just days ago, with hail the size of golf balls reported across Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas overnight. News Nation meteorologist Max Paris is live in our weather center. Max, what are you seeing?
Well, we're tracking the highest possible risk level today, only issued 1% of the time from NOAA, and that usually leads to violent tornadoes, so we definitely want to stay weather aware. You can already see a tornado watch in effect for parts of Arkansas and Missouri at this hour, including St. Louis, which you can see above me. The low-hanging ominous clouds starting to head their way as this line of severe storms begins to redevelop. That will be happening as we get through the day, with the heating and moisture feeding this strong storm system. Severe storms possible from Chicago to Detroit, through Indy, St. Louis, down towards Little Rock, Arkansas by the evening commute. So definitely want to stay weather aware here as we head later into the day and even overnight. Still expecting strong to severe storms. This system going to stall out over the Mid-South, bringing a significant rain threat. The highest possible flood risk level also in effect tonight into the upcoming weekend. It's going to be targeting same areas that were hit with that deadly round of storms this past February, bringing them high rain totals. And again, just sad to see that focusing on the same area for this round could be even more significant. So here's the severe weather outbreak that's developing. High risk for strong tornadoes, EF3 or higher, hurricane force winds, baseball-sized hail, and of course major flooding. That high risk area now extending southward. Paducah, Memphis, Little Rock, all in that highest possible risk zone. And again, that's for the severe storms and the tornado potential. But again, that flooding is going to be dangerous too. Life-threatening flooding on the way tonight for the Mid-South. We already have flood watches in place from Detroit down through Texarkana, but parts of Arkansas and the mid-Mississippi River Valley, like in Memphis and northern Missouri out towards Tupelo, under a particularly dangerous situation flood watch for very extreme rain totals on the way. So as we see that flooding move in, make sure that you have an escape route in case of flash flood emergencies issued for your area, and avoid those flooded roads. Half of all flood deaths happen in vehicles, so we want people to stay safe out there. 10 to 15 inches of rainfall for this hot spot near Paducah. That's where that deadly flooding occurred 6 weeks ago, and a wide swath of 6 to 12 inches. Definitely something that we want to stay on the lookout for, not just today, Nicole, but heading into tomorrow and even through this upcoming weekend. That rain.
Earthquake.
This morning, more than 40 million on alert for severe storms as a massive system pushes east. Initial storms dumping torrential rain that swamped drivers outside Lubbock, Texas. Fierce hail shredding these trees during the deluge. Straight line winds ripping the roof off this west side business, sending cinder blocks flying, even flipping this shed over. Brad Allgaier hiding in the hallway of his home with his wife and dogs to stay safe.
I went out on the porch and looked, and my wife screamed, "Get in the house, there's lightning and you may get hit."
The same system setting off tornado sirens sounding in Van Buren, Arkansas. Authorities say at least 50 structures hit. Lightning likely to blame for these massive oil storage tanks erupting in flames southeast of Oklahoma City.
A force of nature off the east coast of Russia. A tsunami up to 4 meters high, enveloping the shoreline. The huge wave following an earthquake at a magnitude of 8.8, among the strongest in recorded history.
Those are what we consider great earthquakes. Due to the motion of the earthquake, so the fault ruptured in a thrusting motion, this resulted in a tsunami.
The quake quickly triggered warnings and advisories across the ocean, from Japan to Hawaii.
30 minutes away from the estimated arrival of the first tsunami waves.
All the way to BC, where a tsunami watch was quickly upgraded to an advisory for BC's outer coast, from Haida Gwaii to Victoria.
An advisory means that strong currents and dangerous waves are likely.
On the west coast of Vancouver Island, the tsunami sirens stayed silent.
So there is an advisory, and we are communicating as actively as we can. There is no threat, and as a result, there are no sirens, there are no evacuation orders. None of that is happening in our area or beyond in Canada.
Some people ignoring the advice to stay off the beaches.
Doing my nightly evening little stroll.
Others, though, felt it was better to be safe than sorry.
We've told our son to stay inside, stay at the house, don't go out, don't wander, because they have said with the advisory to stay away from the shoreline.
Bracing themselves for whatever the waves might bring.
And with the low tide, Tofino has a low tide half an hour before it's forecast to hit. So I think that eases a lot of people's minds as well. It's just people living on their boats, on the water, in float homes. Like, they're definitely going to feel some currents tonight.
A reminder that even when the threat seems like thousands of kilometers away, this is still a tsunami zone.